An island, a settlement, over 100 people. And then a question: where did they go? If they fled, why did no one ask for help? If they were killed, why was not a single body found? If they moved, why does it look planned, not rushed? Why were the houses dismantled, but no weapons left behind? Why is there no sign of battle, yet no sign of life? And the strangest part, why was only one word left behind? CROATOAN. Was it a destination? A warning? A final message? What if they didn't die at all? What if they chose to disappear? What if this wasn't a tragedy, but an erasure from history? This video is not about a lost town. It's about a truth that refused to be found. So ask yourself, what really happened to the Roanoke Colony? Spain ruled the South, Portugal controlled the seas, and England was late to the game. Queen Elizabeth I knew one thing clearly: if England did not claim land in the New World, it would disappear from history. But England had a problem. They didn't want just any land. They wanted land that was close enough to resupply by sea, far enough from Spanish control, rich in resources, and perfect for expansion. That land, they believed, was Roanoke. Roanoke Island sat in a strategic position along the Atlantic coast. It was shielded by barrier islands, making it harder for enemy fleets to attack. The climate was milder than the north. The land looked fertile. Freshwater sources existed. On maps, it looked ideal. But maps lie. To the English crown, Roanoke was more than land. It was a statement, a message to Spain. We are here now. This was not just a colony. It was England's first attempt at permanence in America. Failure was not an option. That is why entire families were sent. Not soldiers alone. Men, women, children, a future, not an outpost. And that made Roanoke different. If it succeeded, England would dominate North America. If it failed, England's dream would die with it. But there was something else. England did not understand the land. They underestimated the coastline. They misunderstood local politics. They relied on fragile alliances with native tribes. And they assumed survival would be easier than conquest. Roanoke was chosen not because it was safe, but because it was necessary. And that decision set the stage for one of the greatest disappearances in human history. Because when ambition chooses land before understanding it, history does not forgive. By the end of 1587, Roanoke was no longer a place of hope. It had become a place of testing. Food supplies were disappearing. The land was not producing as expected. Fishing and hunting were unreliable. Relations with nearby native tribes were unstable. Friendly one day, dangerous the next. The colonists slowly realized one thing: staying through the winter would mean death. There was only one option left. The governor of the colony, John White, made a decision no leader wants to make. He would return to England for help. This was not a simple journey. It meant leaving behind families, children, newborns. Among them was his own granddaughter, the first English child born in America. As White prepared to leave, he made a promise: I will return quickly. History did not keep that promise. War erupted in Europe. Ships were seized. The seas were closed. John White would not return for 3 years. 3 years without letters, without messages, without witnesses. The colony was left. After 3 long years, John White finally returned. He expected noise, voices, footsteps, smoke rising from homes. Instead, silence. Where were the people? Where were the children? Where was his family? The houses were dismantled, not burned, not destroyed. Why would a colony carefully take apart its own homes? Why was there no sign of panic? No weapons scattered? No graves? And then he saw it. A single word carved into wood: CROATOAN. What did it mean? Was it a destination? A nearby island? A safe place? Or was it a warning? Before leaving England, White had made an agreement with the colonists. If you move, Carve the name of where you are going. If you are in danger, carve a cross. There was no cross. So why did the message feel so ominous? If they left willingly, why didn't they leave more clues? If they were forced, why hide the truth in a single word? Why CROATOAN and nothing else? Did the colonists merge with the CROATOAN people? Did they seek protection? Or did something happen after they arrived? And the most disturbing question of all, why was John White never able to search the island named in the message? Storms rose, ships turned back, and the trail went cold forever. What if CROATOAN was not an answer, but a door that never opened? To this day, Roanoke Colony has no single confirmed explanation, but historians agree on several main theories. And here is what makes this mystery so powerful. None of them fully explain everything. 1. The native integration theory, most accepted. This is the theory most historians consider the strongest. CROATOAN was not a symbol or code. It was a real place, home to the CROATOAN, Hatteras people located south of Roanoke. Historical observations recorded later include reports of Native Americans with lighter skin and gray or blue eyes, claims of English words being remembered generations later, European-style tools and objects found among local tribes. This suggests a possibility. The colonists, facing starvation, sought refuge. Families may have merged into native communities over time. English identity simply disappeared. But the question remains, if this is true, why was it never officially confirmed? 2. The massacre theory. Some historians argue a darker outcome. At the time, tribal conflicts were common, resources were scarce. European settlers were often seen as threats. Could the colonists have been completely wiped out? The problem is evidence, or the lack of it. No mass graves, no battle damage, no burned structures. If a massacre happened, why did it leave no trace at all? 3. Spanish intervention. Spain viewed English colonization as a direct threat. Facts. Spanish forces operated in the region. They actively opposed English expansion. The theory claims Spain secretly destroyed Roanoke. But there is a major flaw. Spain meticulously documented its military actions, yet no Spanish records mention Roanoke. If Spain did it, why erase their own victory from history? 4. Starvation, dispersal, and gradual disappearance. This is the most human explanation. The colony was hungry, isolated, leaderless. Cut off from supply, historians believe the colonists may have broken into small groups, traveled in different directions. Some integrated, some died, some failed to survive the journey. But this leads to another question. Why was no clear trail ever found? 5. Voluntary erasure. This is the least discussed and most unsettling theory. What if the colonists chose not to return to England, rejected imperial control, adopted entirely new identities? What if they didn't want to be remembered as colonists, but simply wanted to survive? History usually records screams, battles, and declarations. Roanoke left none, and that silence may have been intentional. Conclusion, historians' consensus. Modern historians agree on one point. Roanoke did not vanish for a single reason. It was likely a chain of events, not one catastrophe, and those events left no written record, which means the mystery survives. And perhaps the greatest truth of all is this. Roanoke's real secret isn't that it disappeared. It's that it never wanted to be found. They were not found. They were not buried. They were not recorded. And that may be the point. Roanoke did not end with fire or blood. It ended with silence. A silence so complete that history could not follow it. Maybe they joined another world. Maybe they were slowly erased. Maybe they chose survival over memory. But one word remains, CROATOAN, not as an answer, but as a question. Don't forget to subscribe and like so you don't miss our future videos.